Uh, Good afternoon, and this is Angelo Vibar from Group 1, and I'll talk about adolescent sexual behavior. As you can see, these are the several factors that affect the adolescent sexual behavior of a teen or the teenager or teenager. The articles that we have been used is first is understanding the broader horizon of sexual encounter, a case study on sexual engagement among Filipino teens. These are the following reference, as you can see. Second is relationships, love, and sexuality, what the Filipino teens think and feel. Reference. And third is the Filipino adolescent sexual attitudes and behaviors, results from a university cohort. Researcher is Elmer G. De Jose. Abstract. The sexual morality of Filipino teenagers is in a great decline based on the many cases of unwanted pregnancy, the spread of sexual transmitted disease, liberality in sexual behaviors, and many other evident consequences. This is a very important concern for many families, school administration, church authorities, and other involved institutions. With this unfortunate situation, it is easier to judge how our teens have immersed themselves in the river of sexual immorality. But the question is, do we really understand what led them to commit such an unacceptable act in this traditional Christian dominated culture like us? May mga bagay talaga tayo nangyayari sa buhay natin na nakaka-encounter tayo. Mostly in our environment, marami ng cases na nangyayari about that abusing our sexual life, sexual behavior. Lalo na ngayong millennials, open na yung mga internet. And recurrent themes that serve as the common causes of sexual engagement by the participants. Wrong spelling. First cause is belonging to a broken family. One of the major causes of sexual engagement points out to belonging from a broken family. Because sabi nga ng ibang tao, iba na daw talaga yung may kompleto yung pamilya. Kasi minsan may mga bagay na kulang. Hindi nafe-feel ng isang bata ang pagiging kompleto niya. Lalo na kung ang pamilya ay hindi buo. Halimbawa, pag walang tatay, sabi nga ni ma'am, walang mas superior sa kanya. Kaya parang nagkakaroon siya ng insecurity kasi compared to other people na complete ang family nila. Kaya, and the second is this parent-child gap is a factor that contributes to the vulnerability of the youth to affection sources as he or she found in their partner what lives of her spirit. Addressing that lack in he/she leading towards progressively genital expression of intimacy, and it is the primary place where values are caught, formed, and honed. These values include the ability to differentiate between what is right and what is wrong. Siyempre, yung pagkukulang niya, parang nakikita niya sa partner niya. Kaya parang iniisip niya, ito yun na yung kanyang forever. And third is follows that teens are able to establish the moral value to determine that sex before marriage is wrong. Based on my experience kasi, may mga natanong na akong mga kabataan, bakit kayong nagpabuntis ka agad? Kasi sabi nila, kasi ako belong to a broken family. Minsan ganun, parang nakikita niya yung image ng kanyang tatay sa partner niya at iniisip niya. Pero minsan, dumadating sa nag-broken din. Kaya sabi niya sa sarili niya, sana hindi to naman nangyari sa anak ko. Pero hindi naman to lahat na bagay kasi may mga tao kahit broken family nagiging successful sa buhay. Tulad din lang natin si Manny Pacquiao. Kahit hiwalay sila ng tatay niya kasi Mami T, pero tingnan mo, naging successful siya. Nasa sarili pa rin niya. Kaya, you are the captain of your ship. And second is high level of love, intimacy, and trust to one's partner. Siyempre, iniisip natin yung parang naging mapusok tayo sa damdamin. Parang siya na ba yung forever ko? Parang ganun. Na yung pala infatuation lang pala yun. Or puppy love. Because some adults will brand teen relationship as a kind of puppy love that started with a having crushes. This kind of crush feeling, however, could be a very intense. Lalo na when nasa edad tayo ng mga 13 to 18. Oh, yan. Yan yung time na very peak ang ating mga hormones kung saan parang makikita natin sa class, kilig na sobra tayo nakikilig. Kaya iniisip natin, siya na ba si Mr. Right o si Miss Right? Siya na ba yung kukompleto sa icing ng sa ibabaw ng cupcake? Mo, mga ganyan. And since adolescence is a stage where emotional attachment to the opposite sex is heightened, a teen who is deeply in love can be carried away with what he or she feels. And adolescence is a period where there is an intense need for intimacy due to the changes in physical, social cognition, and social goals. Because during adolescence, this is where people make relationships to other people. This is where they exchange their ideas. This where the time that nade-develop na yung logical thinking ng mga tao. But some teens are still unable to meet the demands of maturity when their parents have to leave them on their own to work and attend to other everyday concerns of the family. And that's the problem. May mga bagay na mature na yung isip, ay mature na yung katawan, pero hindi immature pa rin. Kaya, that's the problem. And third is the peer pressure or influence of ill-mannered friends. Peer pressure is another dominant theme in the sexual engagement of our participants. Peer simply refers to someone who is of the same age, education, or social class. The key concept of peer pressure is that individuals of the same age group are actively urging them to do something, and that they are motivated to act and think in certain ways because they have been urged, encouraged, and pressured by a peer to do so. Example is drinking, alcohol. Siyempre, pakikisama lang natin sa mga tropa at papi chulo. Kaya, makikisama tayo, makikiinom tayo ng alak, pagsisigarilyo, or other, lalo yung mga bad boys, drugs. One of the influence is peer pressure. And it can trace back to how teens were able to establish that sense of intimacy with one another. The intimacy in friendship is actually secondary to the one in the family. If the family presence is not felt, more often than not, the peers or friends take the place of primary relation. Minsan, pag hindi kompletong pamilya, minsan hindi nagkaka-communicate sa bahay, minsan, imbis na maging comfort ng tao, yung kanyang family, pumupunta siya sa mga friends siya. Pero minsan may mga judgment ang friends na mali na hindi dapat i-advise. Kaya nagagawa mo yun at mas magtitiwala ka pa sa kaibigan mo kaysa sa mga pamilya mo kung saan kadugo mo. And so next is neglected religions, norms, and rituals. The next event theme in the case study points out to the participants' non-involvement or non-observance in religious norms and rituals. If an individual has developed within herself a closer communication with God, then sensitivity to some church standards and norms may also develop. Having a closer intimacy with God considerably directs our conscience to do what is good and avoid what is bad. Dito na pumapasok yung trust natin kay God. Dahil alam natin, when we trust God, we trust His timings. And we fear the Lord, so we do good and avoid bad things that can harm others, harm our family. Kaya, gumagawa tayo ng tama. And as the Proverbs goes is, excuse me, start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. This biblical passage emphasizes the need for teens to immerse themselves starting from their childhood the observance of some religious rituals and practices. This will help them to develop in themselves the fear of the Lord, which one of the seven gifts of the Holy Spirit that refers to the sense of respect, wonder, awe, and submission to God. Na lahat ng problema may solusyon. Minsan kasi may mga bagay tayong inisip natin, did you well played, wala na, tapos na, kaya yung iba, lalo na ngayon, marami nagko-commit ng suicide. Iniisip nila may mga lahat ng wala nang solusyon sa mga problema na. Naisipin nyo, may mga tao pang mas grabe ang mga problema. Kaya, kailangan natin magtiwala sa Diyos at darating rin ang time na giginahawa tayo. Isuko lang natin kay Lord. Amen. And this habit will somehow contribute to the development of a sensitive conscience and fair moral decision making as they mature. This is important because fearing of the Lord will help us to be socially, morally, and emotionally healthy. Because nagtitiwala tayo na meron gagabay sa atin. And when you do right, there's nothing to fear about. There's nothing to be afraid of. Wala. And the church teaches that sexual act is only moral acceptable within marriage and only in ways that do not cut off the possibility of procreation. And because one of the goals of our human being is to perpetuate our human race, to conserve our human race. And as you can see, the detrimental effects of pornography. Pornography is a common term which usually means graphic and explicit depictions of sexual activity. It is a great link with the kind environment that we have at present. We live in a sex-obsessed culture, which means na because of social media, ngayon, liberal na, bikini, or mga ano yan, syempre, minsan lang maging bata, kaya ipakita mo na sexy ka, gwapo, may mga abs, mga ganyan. Kaya, nagte-trend na siya ngayon. Because we are in the 21st century. Kaya, and pornography, pero may mga taong ginagamit itong mga bagay nito sa maling pamaraan. And that's why, nagkakaroon ng pornography. And pornography has always been around and it's presented in various forms. Noon, sa mga magazines lang ito, sa mga Betamax. Pero ngayon, because of the internet, has made it so accessible. Even the young ones can see in the internet. What makes it very tempting for teens is that it offers enough privacy. Meaning no one will know and you can easily hide and fake your identity when browsing porn sites. And one can easily delete the browsing history from the gadget setting. If one indulges in it, it can lead to addiction and a mixture of negative emotion. That's right. Totoo naman to. Siyempre, habang na-addict ka sa pornography, parang tumataas yung drive mo, mas lalo ka nagkakaroon ng mga lust, tapos ito, parang mas na-a-addict ka. And parang napapabayaan mo na yung sarili mo at nagiging addict ka na talaga. Parang drugs rin yan. And once or twice can never be enough until an individual longs for a deeper form of excitement and pleasure. Yeah. Parang gusto mo lagi, I feel good. So, and pornography can do many unfortunate things to the teens. Siyempre, being addicted to it, they not only suffer physically, siyempre, laging pagod, joke. But more so, changing their perspective and way of thinking, which enable them to make unreasonable sexual decisions. Kaya, magiging mapusok ang damdamin mo, lakad matatag, normaling ka na lagi. Kaya, parang ganun. And last is the availability of space. Siyempre, marami nang yung space. The availability of space, familiar naman kayo dito sa Hotel Sogo. So clean, so good. Victoria Court, ito Apartel, motel. other, lalo ngayon, pag February, kahit may COVID, tag-init is real. The ability of space and geographies that are outside the elders' access and supervision gives more opportunity for the desire to be actualized, while the absence of available space puts constraint on teens' desire or plans. Excuse me. Nevertheless, even if spaces are available, if there is elder supervision, teen desire for sexual expression could be curtailed. Siyempre, pag alam mo, from magulang, pag meron lagi nandiyan ang magulang mo, mape-prevent mo ito. But the desire for full physical expression of intimacy may be less incited if there are no inviting and tempting spaces that ensure anonymity and privacy. Even if they really want to do it, but if there are no spatial provisions, then they could still postpone it. Sexual activity is a very private thing which should be done within confined spaces. But based on what participants had disclosed, the available spaces include the condo, motel, either of the partner's own house, boarding house, and even inside the car. In the popular men's health online magazine, Belevance 2006 conducted a survey and asked 1,138 women about how thrilling or exciting it is to have sex in the following unusual spaces. As you can see in the graph, pinaka mababa, total turn on is in the public part. And the less is in the cemetery. Siyempre, nakakatakot sa cemetery. Parang bahay, baka may boy kalansay pa or mga deads. Zombie. And the conclusion, the case study resulted to 6 common themes that were manifested or drawn out from the participant testimonies about their sexual engagement. These are, first, belonging to a broken family, high level of love, intimacy, and trust to one's partner, bugsok ng damdamin, peer pressure, neglected religious norms and rituals, pornography, and availability of space. Having identified these different causes of unreasonable sexual engagement, is an evident that the society, culture, and geographies serves as a major contributory factors in their sexual decision. It is now the work of different institutions in the society to work hand in hand in addressing this moral decline. Their formulation of sexual ethics as a result of the case study should be the promotion of a moral community that will provide nourishing activities and lifestyle that promote purified intimacy. Teens' behavior must be seen not only from their current situation, but adults must scrutinize the history and story of teens' humanity in order to know where they are coming from. Indeed, an open mind and heart is needed for such an effective intervention. Next is relationship, love, and sexuality. What the Filipino teens think and feel. First, there is a room for further encouraging parents to talk more with their children about sexuality, especially aspects related to feelings and emotion in order to help them make better sexual choices. Siyempre, bago sa eskwelahan, sa bahay unang natututo ang isang bata. Start them young to teach them right. Indeed, teens wish to better communicate with their parents on this issue. Kaya, if the parents are too busy, make time to talk to your children. And condoms are regarded as safer than when they really are by almost half of the participants of this study, and such incorrect knowledge seems to be associated with sexual initiation. Having a better understanding of what teens feel and think about relationships, love, and sexuality seems to be an important consideration in planning public health strategy to address common reproductive health problems in teen populations. This study highlights that Filipino students do not communicate as they would want their parents on this issue because some of them are too shy or too ashamed of these issues, and some are not ready yet. And it seems that more can be done to improve parent-child communication, as friends in the internet are not the best information channels. Aside from improving the information source, more has to be done. Also to improve the content and quality of the information conveyed to teens. True informed choice and empowerment goes hand by hand with accurate information. In particular, condoms should be presented for what they are, a risk reduction strategy and never for risk avoidance. Survey findings clearly suggest that some messages conveyed to teens can indeed be harmful as these are associated with earlier sexual initiation. More public health resources should be spent on the maintenance of the lifestyle that better protects youth. In this case of this study, a lifestyle that is truly risk avoiding and beneficial to a larger section of the targeted teens. Our data suggests teens are requesting help to achieve a healthier lifestyle and they in fact more interested in character education encompassing affective aspects of sexuality rather than biological information. Global strategy should surely take this request into consideration. And the last journal is the Filipino Adolescents, Sexual Attitudes and Behavior. Results from university cohort. This research describes the sexual attitudes and behaviors of a cohort of adolescents in the ages of 15 to 24 years old attending a large state university in Manila composed of 1,412 students. Results revealed high percentages for both male and female adolescents who still value virginity and disclose disagreement with premarital sex. Multiple sex, casual sex, pornography, cohabitation, same-sex relationship, petting, and female masturbation. Adolescence is a stage in life in which sexual behaviors are developing and becoming established. Reviews of recent scientific literature have revealed profound changes over the past decades in sexual behavior of adolescents, college students, and other young adults. These changes include the decline in the age of onset of sexual intercourse, increase in percentage of adolescents who report casual sex, multiple sex partners, and oral sex, and high rates of unprotected sexual activity both for males and females. This increasing sexual involvement pose alarming consequences. In particular, premarital sex has a significant impact on public health concerns. The current study produced baseline information about sexual attitudes and behaviors of colleges. The cohort personnel and family characteristics, their attitude towards sex, and how they are correlated with sexual behavior were examined. The paper hopes to provide data about the college students' view on sex as well as their actual sexual practices or involvement which can be utilized in the planning and implementation of educational policies and in spousing development programs that address the needs of students, particularly in the sexuality and reproductive health domains. Uh, that's all. Thank you. And this is the report of Group 1. Good afternoon. Thank you and God bless.